Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. We are the sound. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. We are glad to be back with you this week after having to miss last week, which we do apologize for. We are in the heat of the NBA Finals right now. Well, not right now. As of recording, they're not happening just yet, but this should be when you are watching. Steve, I also feel like, I don't know, walking outside today, feeling the heat and stuff, I feel like summer is here. It now feels like we are in the nice part where it's starting to get warm all the time. Everyone's going out having fun. Pools are starting to open. It just seems like we're right in that sweet spot.
No, yeah, we are. This is my happy time. I'm not a big fan of the cold. In fact, because Talia has the AC blasting right now, I have a space heater sitting next to me. I enjoy the heat. Bring it on. I am not a fan of the cold, so very, very happy.
A space heater in June sounds illegal. I'm not going to lie. That doesn't sound like something that should be happening in any household.
What happens when you have a wife that wants the AC on at 64 degrees?
I have mine at 71, so it's a bit.
That's normal.
Bit of a difference, yeah, bit of a difference. We're glad to have you here today, folks. Let's get a quick look at today's rundown. We once again have another NBA-heavy show, talking about some final stuff. Also dipping our toes back into the football season as we're getting closer to that, starting to get some more NFL topics. So, folks, we hope you are ready for some cogent and intelligent sports analysis. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Our first topic of the day, as we mentioned earlier, we are in the midst of the NBA Finals right now with the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Indiana Pacers. A matchup I'm not sure anybody at the start of this season was predicting. We certainly were not two of these people predicting. I think we actually picked, not actually, I know we did. We picked both of these teams to lose in the conference finals. Completely different matchups according to the sound. But this is a weird one, not a matchup a lot of people expected to happen. And Steve, this, because it is such an outlier matchup and because these are two smaller markets with Oklahoma City and Indiana, do you think that in the future this will be a forgotten NBA Finals?
Yeah, Cam, I do. So I think that this finals is going to be enjoyable to watch. I think that these two teams, we always talk about in boxing, styles make fights, right? I think this is a matchup where it's very, very similar teams, both very fast up and down the court. And I think that they both have marquee guys in today's NBA playing in, 2-point guards playing against each other, both superstars, right? But when I think about finals that are things that you and me talk about on a regular basis, this finals matchup, that finals matchup, the majority of the time it includes somebody who is an all-time player. It includes somebody like for the last, 2 decades, a LeBron, a Steph, a KD, a Giannis, a Jokic, guys who you and me are talking about, where are we ranking these guys on the top 30, So with these finals, where I think both of these guys are up and coming, where I think both of these guys are coming into their own careers, as of right now, I think that these finals to me are more similar to the 2004 Pistons, or I'm sorry, is it 2003 or 2004? I think it's 2003.
2004, the 04 Pistons.
I think this is more like the 2004 Pistons to me, because it's a team that you're like, as you're going back through thinking, okay, Spurs won this finals. And then you're like, wait a second, I forgot the Pistons won. Or like you and me did last night, where you had that incredible pool of the 79 Sonics. I didn't even know the Sonics won a finals. Now, I'm not saying that this finals won't be the start to one of these guys having a legacy or a resume, but in 20, 30 years, this is not a finals where I think you and me are going to sit back and say, man, you remember that 2025 finals between Shea and Halliburton when they just duked it out? No, to me, this isn't going to be something like that. So I'm looking at this more of it's going to be a fun matchup, but I'm not going to put much weight or stock in these finals as a all-time great finals.
It will definitely not be an all-time great finals, but I don't think this would be a finals that we forget, and I don't think this is a finals that doesn't have repercussions for either side throughout history. So I think, to go with your point about the 04 Pistons, I think those random NBA championships are ones that we stick out, and like the years kind of grab you right away. Like, I have written on my notes, I have the 04 Pistons. I feel like 2019 with the Raptors being in there randomly, everyone knows about that championship. Everyone knows about 95 when Jordan was gone. The NBA has burned the tapes, but Shaq and the Magic played Hakeem and the Rockets in that finals. 21, I feel like everyone kind of remembers the Suns and the Bucks, that weird matchup. So there are finals that stick out that are like, that's odd, but I feel like they're noteworthy still that you remember them. To go with the superstars on either side, with SGA or Halliburton, no matter what happens, whether either one wins or lose, it will have important repercussions. So for SGA, if he wins this championship, going from a number one seed in his conference to winning an MVP, to winning the finals, to possibly winning the finals MVP, that's an elite group that he would then be joining and amongst elite company. But if he loses, it then goes in the opposite direction of SGA was on the precipice of getting into an all-time group in conversation, now shut down by the completely random Indiana Pacers. And Tyrese Halliburton, who went from being the most overrated player in the NBA, prior to that being on Team USA and getting more minutes than Jason Tatum, and now all of a sudden he's in the NBA Finals. Like, it's a weird sort of path for everybody. And Rick Carlisle, who you had talked to me last night about, what does that do for him? Where does it put him? Is he now in more conversations? He either, yes, is now going to be in some different coaching conversations, or no, he's going to remain the same. So there are still a lot of implications or a lot of changes that could be made after these NBA Finals. It also can potentially show us what type of roster construction works. Because we've talked before about how the NBA's changed. Teams aren't built the same, and they're not given the same kind of vibe. There's two very different styles going on between the Thunder and the Pacers. As I've mentioned a bazillion times, OKC is a very technical, proficient team. It is a bunch of good basketball players who are all doing very good things. Whereas Indiana, maybe not as carefully constructed as far as pieces they have, but everyone is bought in on the system. They're buying in with each other. It's us versus the world. Like, it is an island of misfit toys, so to speak, where it's like nobody believes in us except for us. So now we get to see which one of these constructions of, do I want to build the most technically proficient roster, or do I want a bunch of guys who would just buy into each other and play off of vibes? So again, a lot of repercussions, I think, can come out of these finals, and we will remember it one way or another, depending on how it turns out.
And for me, in order for this to matter, when this finals is done next year, these guys have to stay at this level. Or else, to me, this finals will be forgotten, because it's like, oh, well, they were good one year and then all of a sudden they kind of fell off. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, but then I think, especially for the Thunder, that's a part of why it would be memorable. I mean, the Thunder went from being a team that nobody thought was going to be beaten, was, like I said, the number one seed, the best defense, the best offense, was running through everybody. Now, if they lose, like you're saying, what was that all about? Was that a flash in the pan? What are we looking at? But now if they win, then it becomes, is this signifying the start of the future of these new superstars? Is this going to be the new team like Boston, where they are just in contention every single year because of their overwhelming talent? Like, that's why I'm saying, either way these finals ends, something is going to come out of it. And I feel like that doesn't always happen.
No, you have a point there. That's something that I guess I didn't really think about, is what is the repercussions of this finals, because you're right. Either A, Shea, lives up to the hype and joins that elite group that you mentioned, or B, he loses and now, like you said. So yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to watch. I'm still indifferent.
And then look at the Indiana side. Like I said, no one expected them to be there. They have this amazing postseason run, And even during the regular season, we had been like the Pacers have been creeping up in like team stats and like had a decent. We're like, where is Indiana coming from? So this finals run either caps off like you didn't believe in us and should have the whole time, or we didn't believe in you the whole time because we shouldn't have. Look what just happened. Moving on to our second topic of the day, sticking with the NBA Finals and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have been on an amazing run, trying to cap it off here with the championship. And there are questions of, is this the best version of Oklahoma City that we're going to see, or is it only just the beginning? Steve, a lot of questions as well on if Oklahoma City is an all-time team amongst NBA history. So with this current roster that they have and the trajectory that they're on, do you think Indiana, do you think Oklahoma City will make another run at the finals next season?
No. I personally don't. And it's not that I don't think they have the talent. What you have to understand is the landscape of the West is changing. It is not going to be the same West next year. When you look across the NBA right now, the West to me is still the best conference in basketball. I think that they are the deepest. I think they have the most superstar talent. And I think that as far as how the teams are put together, it is the hardest conference to go through to get to the finals. Because in any given matchup, you either have to go through Jokic, you either have to go through Luka and LeBron together now. And barring where Kevin Durant goes here in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you have to go through a potential KD with Houston in that core, a Kevin Durant with, God forbid, the Mavs and Kyrie and Anthony Davis. I mean, there is so much still shifting and changing. And because of that, being able to replicate that, being able to do it once is hard enough. Being able to do it again with the fact that, would you bet against Luka and LeBron again if you had to see them in the playoffs?
I'm not putting money against LeBron.
Correct. So when I look at a team like the Wolves, right, I know that they got through them fairly easily, but again, it doesn't mean that the next time they play them, it'll be that easy to do it once more. And I'm not saying that the Thunder aren't going to mesh and grow together and continue to get stronger and continue to get better, but they had a year this year that I don't think a lot of people expected them to have at the beginning. We knew they were going to be good. Did we think they were going to be as good as they were? I don't think a lot of people did at the beginning of the season. When you're asking a team to now have a target on their back and to have to repeat against that tough Western Conference, I just don't think that's doable. So, Cam, to answer the question, no, I don't think it's doable for them to do it again next season.
I don't think it is either. I mean, obviously anything can happen. Can't rule it out. But I agree. I don't think they'll make another run either. Just to kind of not harp too much on your point about the teams, but that was one of my points as well. I mean, Kevin Durant and Giannis, we have no idea where they're going to be. Cooper Flag is about to be a Dallas Maverick. LeBron and Luka are going to get a fully healthy season together. I mean, Golden State's now going to have a full Jimmy Butler season to get more chemistry with them. So a lot of things can happen in the West that the Oklahoma City Thunder don't have as clear of a path or as easily obtain the number one seed. I also think people don't realize how hard it is to just get back, not even repeat, just get back to the NBA Finals. So the Denver Nuggets, which Nikola Jokic, we all thought, 3 MVPs, he's going to be the best player ever. He's going to have so many. He hasn't been in since 2023. The Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, after that, people thought, well, Steph is surely going to win more. They're not going to be done. They went on a 4-year drought before going back to the finals after the Kevin Durant era. The Milwaukee Bucks went in 2021, haven't been back since. The Miami Heat were last in 2014. 5 years in between their next appearance in 2020 when they played the Lakers. There is just so much uncertainty, and it is so hard to go back to the finals. And all those teams I just mentioned, which you said at the start of this segment, all-time guys, legendary guys, still had those droughts of not getting just back to the NBA Finals. And there is always a team that seems inevitable until they are not. When Boston first started having their consecutive 50-win seasons in 2017, they didn't make the finals till 2022, 5 years later. And every single year, we said Boston's coming out of the East. Boston is the most talented team. Boston is so overwhelming. Never went to the finals in 5 years. The Bucks in 21, we said, oh my God, Giannis has finally arrived. He's the most dominant player we've seen since Shaq, winning MVPs and Defensive Player of the Years. Multiple first-round exits since he's won his finals MVP. As I mentioned with Nikola Jokic, not one, not two, 3 MVPs in the regular season, has been to one finals and beat the Miami Heat that I don't think anyone expected to give them a fair fight. It is not easy to go back to the NBA Finals. There has not been a repeat winner in almost a decade. And Oklahoma City's thing, as you had also mentioned, Steve, with the youth and experience, clearly they've gotten past that, but the rest of the league isn't young. So are they going to figure out the Oklahoma City Thunder? Now that they've had a full season of seeing this lineup, this big three of Jalen and Chet and SGA, are there going to be adjustments made? Will teams figure out how to stop that stifling defense that Oklahoma City has, or get around it, I should say? There are always ways to figure out those teams, especially when I've said SGA, amazing. The team as a whole is a great roster construction, but there's not going to be, one guy or one move or one play, whatever, that's going to beat you consistently. The Oklahoma City seem like a team that you can beat. I just think people are underestimating how hard it is to go back to a finals, let alone win another finals. And OKC, I know they proved that, or they beat the we're too young allegations, but I don't think they clearly don't know yet what it takes to do this again and go back.
Yeah, no, and that's very well said. One of the points that you just made that I never really thought about was all of those guys that you named, and they went to 1, maybe 2 finals, right? That is something when we talk about guys that are in like that top 10 category, even guys up there, right? You have most of the guys in the top 5 went to multiple finals in a row, right? But as you start to trickle down out of that, it's like, then you go to like, you start to realize how hard it is when you look at all-time guys in the top 10 that have it. And then once you get outside of that, there's not a ton of guys that have that on their resume. So being able to go back to the finals without one of those guys is almost unheard of, especially back-to-back, like you said. Now, what was it? Chauncey Billups went to, I think it was 6 or 7 Eastern Conference Finals in a row. I think that's the NBA record. I think he went to 6 or 7 conference finals appearances in a row. Do you want to know how many finals appearances he made out of that?
Yep.
I'm not saying that the Thunder can't. I'm saying they won't. And those are, like you had made the distinction earlier, those are two very different things. They have the talent, but I don't think they will based on the challenge that it's going to take to get back through this West.
You heard the whistle, and you know what that means. It is time for the 2-minute drill, where Steve and I try to talk about a topic or topics that just didn't make the cut in 2 minutes or less. Today we're talking about the firing of Tom Thibodeau from the New York Knicks. Time starts now. Tom Thibodeau fired by the New York Knicks seemingly out of nowhere. No one has an heir apparent to who's going to take the throne. Steve, your immediate reaction.
Second time Karl Anthony Towns has gotten Tom Thibodeau fired. That's my immediate reaction.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, think about it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, we're going to ignore the fact that we lost and blame Tom Thibodeau. Like, that just, to me, it just is weird because it's not like he did anything wrong. It's not like he did anything, like, made poor choices or didn't make a coaching decision, didn't make the right change. So I don't understand it.
It's a stab in the back to a guy that just brought you to a conference finals in over 2 decades. Like, I don't understand. Like, now the news came out that Towns, wasn't doing defensive things right, wasn't communicating well, wasn't following the correct switches and whatnot. And we know Tom Thibodeau is a defensive guru and, like, you have to play hard and stuff. I don't know if that was the absolute catalyst, like you were saying with him getting fired, but I don't have a reasonable explanation for why this happened. I mean, I also find it shocking that the Suns just filled their position with a guy whose name I now forget, who I'd never heard of. Tom Thibodeau wasn't on that short list to be interviewed. I know that. Well, no, the Nuggets hired David Adelman. I was just like, can you imagine if they picked up Tom Thibodeau?
No, but could you imagine if the Knicks fired him so they could get Mike Malone? I mean, I'm just.
Oh! Wow! I like that. I kind of like that.
I don't know.
I guess we'll see. That would be. I would. Wow. I actually really enjoy that fit. I don't think it will happen. There's actually talks of him staying as a analyst or whatever. But yeah, this has been Tom Thibodeau on the 2-minute drill. Moving on to our third and final topic, it is everyone's favorite ranking system, today's top 5. Check out the new graphic. Well, kind of new. This is the second time we've been displaying it. New to you, Steve. You weren't here last time we had the new graphic and the new setup. But in case you forget what today's top 5 is, it is where Steve and I rank the teams or players in the correct sports context that they deserve to be in 1 through 5. Today we are doing the top 5 NFL teams that have the most pressure heading into the 2025 NFL season. Some people may disagree. I'm sure most of you will because we are the sound, but let's take a look at today's top 5. Here we have a look at today's top 5, starting at the bottom and working our way up. Number 5, the Chicago Bears. Now, look, they don't have a lot of pressure to win the Super Bowl, but Steve has been a vocal advocate, to me in private, that the Bears have had the best offseason of any NFL team. You have a new coach. Caleb Williams needs to do better after his poor season last year. And I think there are just going to be a lot of eyes, Steve, to see where Chicago moves forward with Caleb Williams and now his new coaches and weapons.
I want to ask you a question, and this is the question that I thought about right before we did the show.
Okay.
Name me the last quarterback coming out of college that had superstar hype that lived up to it.
Most recently?
Within the last 20 years. Guys who were being talked about that they will be. Give me another.
Lamar, he wasn't hype type. I'm trying to think of.
Nope.
You're looking for one specific answer?
No, the answer is that outside of Joe Burrow, there really isn't one. There is only a handful of guys that coming out of college, they had superstar hype.
Yeah.
That lived up to that level of expectation. So I've been trying to recently give Caleb Williams a little bit of grace because I do recognize that the media putting that amount of pressure and hype on a guy like that can create a sense of you didn't live up to that hype, but you and me both privately knew that Caleb Williams was not that person, right? The Bears, where their pressure in lies for me is what you had mentioned. They had one of the better off seasons that I can remember in recent history of an NFL team. I mean, they got 2 or 3 of the top offensive linemen and free agent. They went out and got Ben Johnson. And then on top of that, they're continuing to invest in pieces around Caleb Williams. They just went out and got another wide receiver, Luther Burden out of Missouri in the draft, who I was very, very high on. I think that Luther Burden is another speed demon to add to that high-powered offense that they have. But they have gone out and they've invested into Caleb Williams, into his protection, because everyone said, oh, well, he gets sacked too much. Oh, well, he drops back and there's somebody on him right away. He's pressured all the time. Okay, the Bears have answered that question. They're continuing to get him more and more help. So the time is now, essentially. If Caleb Williams is what everyone said he was going to be, it's going to happen right now.
Moving on to number 4, the San Francisco 49ers. Got a lot of stuff going on out there in San Fran. Brock Purdy just got paid. 5-year, $265 million extension. A contract that people thought he either had no business touching or he absolutely deserved. There was no in between with that. Deebo Samuel, gone somewhere else out in Washington. Christian McCaffrey, hurt last season. Brandon Ayuk, hurt last season. George Kittle, subpar last season. There are a lot of... San Francisco was supposed to be the powerhouse NFC team that was going to make the Super Bowl every single year, that the NFC had to run through and claim their piece through. Doesn't seem that way anymore. And like I said, with Brock Purdy getting paid, people think that was either an absolutely foolish decision or, like I said, something that was well-deserved. So San Francisco has a lot to prove. Are they going to get back to their, top-of-the-line status? Is Brock Purdy going to prove his worth? Can they still perform without weapons? A lot of questions going into this season.
I like the Niners at 4 here because, to me, when I look at San Francisco, it's more about what you had just said. They were supposed to be the team coming out of the NFC. That was supposed to be, when we say the AFC runs through the Chiefs, the NFC was supposed to run through the Niners. Brock Purdy, to me, I don't think he deserved $50 million a year. But when you got guys like Tua and Trevor Lawrence making that kind of money, unfortunately, the market dictates that a Brock Purdy deserves that kind of paycheck as well. George Kittle at one point in time was number 1, number 2 tight end in the league. I mean, he was one
definitively.
of the... Yeah, definitively, probably top 3 definitively if we really thought about it. But, like, George Kittle's kind of disappeared. He played a disappearing act. So I like San Francisco at 49. I like the 49ers at 4 here.
Number 3, the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, going to the Super Bowl in the year was 22, but the 21 season, a team that we thought could rival Kansas City. Joe Burrow on the ascent, Jamar Chase on the ascent. All of a sudden, they got hurt, wasn't performing the same. Joe Burrow coming off an MVP season. Nobody thought that they were going to keep both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but they did. The defense, the worst in the NFL last season. And it seemed like the Bengals were going to, or at least to me, I picked them to make the Super Bowl last year prior to the season starting. I thought this was going to be their redemption tour. I thought this was going to be when they reassert themselves as another top AFC contender. Obviously didn't go as planned. Will that be this season? I guess we'll see. Bengals at number 3.
Cam, I thought about a very interesting comparison when you brought this up that I want to share with you live here, actually. To me, if Cincinnati does not get things figured out, Joe Burrow and Dan Marino are going to have very similar careers.
Ooh.
Dan Marino, early in his career, took the Dolphins to a Super Bowl and never went back. He was always one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, always had one of the top 5 receivers on his team in the league, but was always part of a very bad defense. And he stayed with the organization and trusted and stayed from 84 to 2000. And they made 1 Super Bowl. Is Joe Burrow so tied to Cincinnati that if they keep losing, will they lose him? Is Jamar Chase going to put up 1,700 yards in a season and win 6 games for another 2 or 3 years? These are the things the Bengals have to be worried about, which is why I like them at 3, because if they don't start finding a way to get a better defense and get better defensively, their superstars are going to walk out the door and go find a team that they can start winning some Super Bowls with.
Number 2, the entire NFC East. Seems a little out there, and when I pitched it to Steve, he was like, yeah, maybe. So the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Kansas City Chiefs, coming off the dominant run that they had. Saquon Barkley doing what he did. Jalen Hurts kind of proving himself. Nick Sirianni getting the extension. There's a lot going on in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia needs to prove to not just themselves, but everybody else that they can keep doing this. And like we said with San Francisco, they are the new team that runs the NFC. Can they be the ones to keep up that pace like San Francisco couldn't? Will they regress to what they were at the start of last season when nobody really expected them to go as far or be as dominant, I should say, as they were? The Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, not there really at all last season. Bringing in George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb still playing outstanding. Jerry Jones went on a media tour this offseason. Kind of everywhere you look, he seemed to be somewhere. How are they going to perform in now this tough NFC East with the Washington Commanders? Jaden Daniels, sophomore slump looming for you, brother, this coming season. Is it going to happen like C.J. Stroud, Will you overcome it? Can you keep the Commanders afloat in the same powerhouse with the addition of Deebo Samuel like you did last year? And the New York Giants, New York Giants. The entire NFC East really under a lot of pressure this season.
Yeah, no, you and me talked about this for a while when you pitched it to me, and I really kind of bought on, because when you look at how the off seasons for some of these teams have changed and shaped these teams to what they are now, but also when you look at a team like the Giants, who have been mediocre since Eli Manning was on that team, right? When you look at a team like the Commanders, who are coming off of, like you said, the shock and awe of what they were able to put up last season, to then, can you continue that level of success, right? But there's a team in this division that I think really is on the precipice of just being downright bad if they can't figure it out, and it's the Cowboys. Every year we hear, oh, they can figure it out. They'll at least make the playoff. Oh, this is their year. This is their year. Dak Prescott, people, even Cowboys fans that I know, are like, this dude's got to go. Get him out of here. They just went out and got Joe Milton from the Patriots, a guy that there is a ton of buzz about right now. So Dak has a little fire lit under him. I just don't think it's going to change anything. So I like the NFC East in number 2. All 4 of those teams are under a pretty large amount of pressure this season.
And number 1 at the top of today's top 5, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know you're thinking, how can the Chiefs have pressure? They're the best team in the NFL. They have Patrick Mahomes, who is who to some people he's the GOAT or he's number 2. They win or make the Super Bowl every single year. How can they have pressure? Because if they lose in any round, in any fashion, at any time, they are going to be lit up. Patrick Mahomes, they missed the playoffs. The Chiefs will be annihilated by the media. He has a subpar season. Done. They lose at any round, Super Bowl, conference championship, wild card, whatever. Done. They will be obliterated. There is no way the Chiefs are safe from criticism or the question of, is this it? Are we seeing the downfall of Patrick Mahomes? Has the dynasty finally come to a close? Are we finally proving that Tom Brady is still and always will be the GOAT? Those are the immediate conversations that will happen if the Chiefs lose anytime, any place, anywhere. So I think rightfully so, they should be number 1 on today's top 5.
Patrick Mahomes is the LeBron James of the NBA.
Yeah.
No matter when he loses going forward, because of the comparison that people are making of him being the GOAT, or the conversation of who is the GOAT, the moment that man loses, up, he's not Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 7 rings, 7, playing with the level of pressure that if you lose, you are going to be hated on, because people find reasons to hate on the Chiefs now. They're the new Patriots. We look for reasons to dislike the Chiefs in the media. We look for reasons to criticize them. 110%, they have the most pressure going into next season, because you can't give me a team that has the amount of criticism and waiting for something bad to happen to them other than the Chiefs.
And that is our list for today's top 5. Going back through it, starting at the bottom and working our way up. Number 5, the Chicago Bears. Number 4, the San Francisco 49ers. Number 3, the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 2, the NFC East. And number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. Today's top 5. And that's going to do it for us today, guys. We hope you enjoyed watching and or listening. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to our channel for more sports analysis. Make sure you are hitting that bell at the top of the screen to get notifications when we post. Also, make sure you are following our Instagram page at @thesound_YT for more updates there, which we will be more active in posting on. We have already discussed it, so make sure you give that a follow. And folks, always remember, if you are ever in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, listen to the sound. We will always have you covered Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. We hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Stay cool, stay safe, take care. See you next time.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
That was random. I'm leaving this in, by the way. This is getting this. All right. God damn it. Why'd you slam it like that? It's like it was a fucking beer.
Time!
God damn it! Time! It's